right. Are we up and running? Let's see. 8 o'clock. Green light. 4,000 kbs. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, we have a brand new setup here. Different camera, different interface, same software on the machine. So a lot of the settings might need fooling around with. The camera is back. Not the camera's back, a new camera. New camera and new interface. Same microphone. Well done, DHL. Hey, this is Japan. I think it's looking okay. All right, we got a good focus. What might need adjusting this morning now is the what's the word? The synchronization, the audio and video. I'm not quite sure how they are working compared to what we had before. So if I can get a little bit of feedback from you, there's two cameras in operation here. The camera you're seeing me in the view here, and the camera on the desk. And the synchronization with the audio may not be looking good. So can you give me a bit of a hint here? I'll give a noise here. First in this camera. Is the audio early, late, about on time? What's the... Syncs up. Sound is early. Somebody says it's okay. Someone says the sound is early. Audio is early. Okay. Actually, I can't do anything about that. The software here allows me to delay the video, but it doesn't allow me to delay the audio. So, audio is early. Okay, how about this one? Down on this camera. How's the audio down there? Because that's quite different, I think. Seems pretty on. That's pretty good. Okay, okay, okay. So it's this video here, this one, that's being slowed down a little bit. And I can't control that. Anyway, I think we're good enough to go, are we? Synchronization. Anyway, let me do some carving. Now let's see how things go. Also, I should pop this up. This was fun. I've prepared a new way for showing speed tests here. There's our speed we're running at the moment, or a few minutes before I started streaming. Acceptable, yeah, acceptable. Eat your heart out, all you people in capitalist countries, whatever, free market countries. Right, what we've got here on the work side of it, there's a little bit of carving left on this block. This is the blue block for the microwave print. I've got a few waves I still haven't done. I've got to pull out the dots for the foam, and then a bit that I missed down here yesterday, a couple of days ago. And then it's going to be hammer time. I'm sorry, it's going to be a noisy stream this morning, actually. What do we pay for this internet? Nay, it's no, I don't know the exact number. It's 5,000 and something yen per month, so it's like $50 or something. And there don't seem to be data caps or anything. Not that I've ever run against any, and there doesn't seem to be throttling, so I don't really know. This is what I'm paying for the actual fiber itself. I pay this to the phone company, about 5,000 yen per month, and that gives me the basic landline phone plus this fiber optic thing. Then I also have to pay my IP, my internet provider, my internet host, and that's, I think, 800 yen per month, 800 or 900 yen, about another $10. So altogether, the fees that I pay to get this kind of internet service is about $50, $55, $60 a month. All right, let's get that out of the way. Let's do some carving here. In the viewfinder here. Okay, I think that corner's done now. Okay, so that group of waves are done. That group of waves are done, I believe. Excuse me. I haven't cleaned out this corner yet. They're all cut. It's not cleaned out. Okay, thanks. OBS audio bit rate. I can perhaps set this on the fly. Let me just try this. Audio bit rate to 320 instead of 128. Let's try this. Settings, audio. I've got a sample rate. That's not the same thing. Audio bit rate, it's set. Okay, let's set it. Hang on. Audio. The current streaming service has an upper limit for the audio bit rate of 160. So I can't do 320, I'm sorry. I can set it up to 160. So that's all that Twitch will do. Clicked OK. New set. So the audio bit rate is now set to 160. Do we need to do another sync test and see if it made any change? No idea. Let's try this. Ready? Ready. See if anything changed. No idea. Oh, the picture yesterday. Oh, your friend. So, thank you very much. So, the shopping yesterday from Sweden to show. Worse now for me, it's better now for me. Sound early. No. Someone says, welcome back to the old camera setup. Actually, this isn't the old one. This is now a completely new setup. It's all totally new hardware. Everything. All the cables are new. The camera has been replaced. And what's it called? The unit that scoops up the video. Not sampler. I forget the word for it. I can't remember the word. The unit that connects between the camera and the computer. Kind of forgetting how to speak English now, isn't it? Capture, yeah, video capture, sorry, thank you. God, I'm really losing it now, you know. How many years do I have left? Who knows? For the record, the capture that I'm working with now, it's a Magewell, I think. Is that how you pronounce it? M-A-G-E-W-E-L-L. It's the one they call their USB Capture HDMI Plus. And I've never seen anything that has been so easy plug and play as this. Literally, I plugged it in yesterday, and the video was there. Pop on the screen. No drivers, no nothing. It just simply plugged and played. I mean, the printer we got last week didn't work that simple. And this is video. So these guys seem to have done it right. OBS recognized it straight away. All the software on the Mac recognized it straight away. And it even allows me to bring in outside audio like I'm doing right now. So far, I can't say enough good things about it. It just worked fabulously. Curious about the price. Here in Japan, it was over $1,000, so I ordered it from the States, which was a few $100s. I think that stays. I'm not sure if that's in or out. I'll leave it for now. This is Hokusai's Great Wharf, so a micro version, a smaller version. Oh my God, this was worth the money. Absolutely, absolutely. According to the reviews and specs, it seems to perform just as well on Windows and Linux as well. You know, so Anyway, so far I can't say enough good stuff about it, so I should have switched over ages ago. That previous box was just the box from hell, the Black Magic Intensity. Device from hell, nothing else to say about that one. What a mistake that was. Oh, look at this whole zone here not cut. I forgot this. We're doing okay, are we? The stream is steady, the focus is steady, the audio is steady. Oh my God, it's taken a while to get here. For those of you who have just joined us here, I'll pop up what we got here this morning just before starting the stream. Rubbing it in, yeah. There's not many things in my life that I can flaunt these days, but that's one of them. I should mention too that I've got some stuff to show you this morning. I know there's a bunch of news happening this weekend. A ton of things happening, more than I can even tell you about in one session here. But so what I've got to finish this carving. Then I've got to switch to hammer work. So at the point where I finish it with this knife, I'll switch over. I got some things to show you. Oops, I'm out of the view line here. We've got a show and tell. Some auction stuff here came in yesterday. The view of me it's the MacBook. It's the FaceTime, what they call the FaceTime camera on the MacBook, yes. I have no control over it. I can't do anything. I can't change settings, can't change focus, can't do anything. It's just built in. So yeah, I got some fun stuff to show you. Just let me get some work done first and then show you. We got auction goods came in yesterday. And coming in today, things I'll be able to show you tomorrow. There's some more. I got really, I can't say lucky because I had to pay for them, but there was some very, very interesting things all during the week here on auctions, on auction sites here. And also on the, not on auction, public auction sites, but on the dealer auctions. You know, we have our friend Ueda-san, he goes into the dealer auctions. I myself don't have a license and I'm not a member of that association, so I can't participate in those auctions. But he does for us. He has the license and all the necessary, memberships. So he goes in there and he's buying for himself. He's his own dealer. He buys and sells. That's how he makes a living, buying and selling prints and books. But there's a bunch of stuff. His interests and our interests are not the same. And they overlap in a few places, but not in a few places. So he buys for me. There's some stuff that he wouldn't have bought for himself because he has no venue to sell them, but he knows I'm interested in. So sometimes I'll get a call from him. It'll be on a Tuesday afternoon or a Friday afternoon. He's in one of those auctions looking at the stuff. He's seen something. He says, Dave, what do you think? I've got this and this available. It would cost this and this. Are you interested? And sometimes I say, that's not really in our line, no thanks. And sometimes I say, are you kidding? Get on that right away. Here's my top limit and blah, blah, blah. So recently we got a bunch of stuff that he wasn't interested himself, but he got from me. So we're going to have some very new, interesting items in the shop. And a couple of them, I'm going to hold back until the shop downstairs opens, because they're going to make fabulous, I can't say decorations. We've got some prints, some large-scale prints that are going to look just so spectacular on that wall downstairs. And I have mixed feelings, because we're not decorating our house. This is a shop, and as soon as I put it in the wall, it's going to look so good, it's just going to disappear. So whatever, we'll put it up, take some pictures, and that'll be that before it sells. But today, what I've got today to show you is some smaller things that I picked up. Too many stories going on at once, I'm sorry. Remembering a carver, Dave Bull, yeah. Well, it's up to the storyteller, you know. You need a few things. You need a good subject, which I had, and you need a good sequence of events. You need a good story, and then you need a good storyteller, you know. So what can I say? We'll see what happens in the future. It won't be anything to do with me, you know. How people will tell my stories, I don't know. It's not just the story, it's the ability to tell the story. We're doing okay, are we still? I got a total green light. It's funny you're talking about telling the story about me or something, whatever, because you know, somebody I saw notice in my email this morning that over on the Acolytes page, somebody posted a link to a manga story that was written about me some years ago. And when I saw that, I had to laugh, because of that story, man, it's so over-dramatized. It's just so funny. The guy, he's actually a famous, or he was at this time, I guess this is 20 years ago or something now, I don't even remember. He's a pretty well-known manga artist, and he had a series running in one of the manga magazines here, where he would go and interview people who were doing something challenging, who had, you know, overcome obstacles or whatever, blah, blah, blah. He had his theme was already set. It was a monthly thing. He'd interview somebody who had overcome obstacles, and the point was, it was one of these things that was supposed to be a story that was inspirational for young people. It's like a commencement speech, you know. Get the young people to stand up in their chairs and go, yeah, I'm ready for life. Out I go, you know. So his take on my story was that he wanted to try and make it look like I had overcome huge challenges to get where I was doing, you know. And whatever challenges there were, there had been some, whatever, of course, you know. But that story, that manga story he wrote, was very much tilted in that direction. Emphasize the negatives and difficult things that had happened, and then show how this person, or not so much show, just say at the end of the day, hi, here he is, he must have overcome all those things, you know. And he did it by exaggerating the difficulties. So even if you can't read the text of that manga, you can see how it goes. There's this, for example, there's a picture of me working in the music store in Canada. And it shows me in an apron, unhappy, crying, pushing a broom around the floor. Give me a freaking break. I was a manager of a place that had 20 employees. I mean, he just exaggerated so much. So I don't know. You can't believe all the stuff you see, Everybody's got an agenda. Everybody wants to specifically twist it to do what they want to show, It's the same thing with that movie they made about me and Jed, Ukiyo Heroes. He had such an agenda already in mind before he came. Okay, I think we're getting there. This is done, this is done. Oops, there's one area here that's not cut. How are we doing for time? We're okay? Yeah, too late. It's now in manga form, so that's how it happened. This is so... We're still doing okay. Everything looks green. What, someone's linked to the Doraemon story now. Yeah, that was fun. That was really, really good fun. Hontoni, that was fun. My kids were still little kids, They believed in stuff. And when I told them that Doraemon and Nobita had visited, they're like, no, really, no way, right? But when they saw the actual magazine, they're like freaked. Oh my God, Doraemon was really here. There's a photograph of Dad with Doraemon, They just freaked. They took it to school. They became heroes. And before we came to Japan, one slight nervousness for us had been, would our kids be bullied because they were, bicultural half and half kids and stuff, We hadn't known. You hear stories about school bullying and stuff sometimes, And my God, we had absolutely zero, nothing. My kids were not bullied. They were heroes. They were special kids, so because of their family, because their family was so interesting. They were interesting kids too, They were good. They were strong, confident young girls. So it's their own confidence and good character, plus their interesting family, and I heard from both of them in later years that they actually ended up having more trouble after they went back to Canada integrating than they ever had here in Japan. Oh, it's coming by pretty quickly here today. I'm sorry I can't see it all. If I ever come to Japan, we should do a photo project together. Whatever, bring your camera. I just sit here working. You're welcome to take pictures. No problem. Oh, it's you, Koringami-san. Yeah, sure. What do you mean, if? When? Am I in the middle of the camera? I can't be tell. Without the scope, you know, it's dangerous. I move around too much and sometimes get out of the camera view. But it's when I'm using the microscope, which I'm not right now, but when I'm using the scope, that's when I get a really good locked view. But without that, I sometimes tend to wander around the table here and get out of the camera view. So. Try to remember to pull it back here. Hey, I heard a question in the question box. It's been ages. There's a question. So, excuse me while I go and have a look at what it is. Here's our knife. Just sharpened it again this morning. Where's the question box? Twitch questions. Yes. Good question. I guess I'm not quite sure how to answer it exactly. The question is, how much pressure do I put on the carving knife? A little or a lot? We have chatted about that before. There's a few knives here. There's one is the carving knife and there's the chisels here, and it's a different story. The carving knife itself, I don't have a line to cut, but if I was cutting this line, we've talked about this before, it doesn't go in too deeply, and it's always totally 100% supported. We don't cut free like this. And I'm making up numbers here. It's something like this. I'm using way more pressure than I need. We've talked about this before. If I'm pulling with 10 and pushing with 9, what's left is 1. So the knife can move through with enough power to cut the wood, but way more power than is necessary is being involved in the system here. So I have total control over it. If I just tried to cut with just the 1 that was necessary, what can I say? It's free and loose, and it might go anywhere. So I'm totally controlling it, and I'm actually pulling harder and pushing back against it. So in that sense, there's a whole bunch of wasted energy here, but it doesn't matter. That gives me total, absolute control over that last 10%. I'm making up the numbers now. I don't know what the numbers are. These ones are different. These are just chisels, and how much pressure simply depends on how big they are and how much wood you're trying to remove. And the key to these things is excuse me, not to think of them as chisels, but to think of them as planes. You know, we have a plane that we push through the wood, and it needs downward pressure on the blade to scoop away the wood. And I'm pushing downward, and this is the really key point about these chisels. If I try to use this like this, it would either fly or it would dig straight in. So I have a very, very low angle, push down, And we're just, you can see it there, look at that. It's acting just like a plane if I just do it really lightly. It's shaving wood away. Now, of course I need to dig out more, but it's the same concept. It's shaving wood. Says he trying to dig too much out at one spot there. Yeah, planing the wood. Yeah, questions, Nay. If you're asking a question in the stream, got to put my name on it. Use the, what is it, the @ mark or the hash mark. So it comes up in black and I see it if I look that direction. And if you really want to make sure the question gets to me, you've got to send it in. Here, I'll pop up the, we have a memo about this somewhere. Where is it? Oops, sorry about that. Where's the height? Okay, I think that's cut that section. That's out, that's out, that's out. Keep moving along here. Before we do though, what time is it now? 8:37. Should we do a bit of show and tell? Can I show some of the stuff I got yesterday, the auction things? Let me zoom out. Hang on. Couple of things yesterday we got here. Sits in the circle attentively. I don't know what to think about this sometimes, you know. I really don't know what to think about this. Okay, what have we got? A few. Here. That's nothing. There was a magazine. No, this is nothing of interest really. They came for an interview a while ago, so I got the front page of a magazine. Time magazine, it's not. Trump is on the front page of Time magazine or not. David is on the front page of a little, what do they call them? They're in-house magazines. This is from a company that makes Asahi Kasei. They make house construction. And there's a whole bunch of people, I know, the boomers, the baby boomer generation are at the stage where their kids are gone and they're rebuilding their houses. So this is a magazine that's showing people how to live your new retired life after you're 50 years old, 65 years old or whatever. Anyway, they came and talked to me and they featured, I got the cover. Wow, a cover of an 8-page magazine. It's fun. They do these things, you know, and they just sit and chat. I was sitting here working and carving while they sat and chatted with me. And bingo, we get a newspaper. I'll scan it later, put it up on the press section. You know, you were linking earlier to the Doraemon book. So that's in the same section of the website. But there's no way I'm going to sit there and translate for it. It doesn't matter. It's just the same old story anyway. Anyway, a couple of things. Here we are. These came in yesterday. after this, I mentioned before, Wade-san, the young guy who was bidding for us in some of the dealer auctions. He picked these up for me. And he phoned me and said, how much do you want to pay for these? And I gave him my top price. And he didn't have to go that high. And we got two of these. One of something else, but hang on a side. Two of these. And these are fun. What they are, it's marked History and Technique of Woodblock Prints. And these are published by Takamizawa. They're gone now. They were one of the top publishing companies through the 20th century. They started, I guess, late Meiji maybe, or Taisho, I don't know. And what this is nicely presented. This must be, I think it's 1960s, I guess. It's post-war for sure. It wouldn't be 50s. They weren't back in business by that time. This would be in the 1960s somewhere. I should turn it so you can see it. It's in a little open cover. And we've got two of these. I'm going to keep one for my own collection, and the other one's going to go in the shop. It says Ukiyo-e Junjo Zuri, which means Ukiyo-e Junjo, order of printing, step 1, step 2, step 3. And what it is, this is the, maybe I should turn this light off actually, give a bit better, here, is that better I think? I think it might be better, it's clear to show what's going on. A generic picture, blah 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 in Japanese, and here's what they're going to do. And they've taken one of the Hiroshige prints from the famous series 100 Views of Edo. It's an Meisho Edo Hyakkei, and famous places, Edo the old town name, and Hyakkei 100 Views. And I think actually there was 116 prints in the set, I don't remember. They were large prints, about what we would call A3 size today. And what they've done, this is going to be excuse me, the process of printing. It's the key block. And then we have the first color block, gray, and the combination, the key and the gray, how they build up. And this is what we call a Junjo Zuri. And this one is really quite nicely made. I know some of these things are pretty scrappy, pretty quickly put together because they involve so much printing to make them. And away they go. Bit of peach color, momo. You can see it's been the same color, Nate. It's the tone on the wood, and that's another question, but hang on a sec, okay? Hang on a second. Color temperature is changing. Yeah, I turned off the incandescent light there, so the color temperature is all changed. Zoom a bit closer, someone's asking. Okay, height. Is that better? Is the streamer a famous artist in Japan? No, I'm not. Next question. Here we go. And again, this is Yamabuki Iro, yellow with a tinge of red in it. It adds up here and there. So far there's been no overlaps. A bit of a gradation, really some small touches here, in the water. Green. Now we see some overlaps here for the first time. We had a gray before on this kimono, for example. This kimono was white before, this kimono was gray before, and now they've put blue on top of both of them. So this is one of the ways you can see now we get differentiation in these prints. So instead of making 4 different people with 4 different kimonos, we start layering differently. So just a bare blue, then a bare blue plus the gray. It's a common sense way to use your color blocks. I think it's also overlapping on here, is it? No, that was the gray sky. What have we got here? Let's go back a minute. I see, I didn't notice it before, but yes, right back at the beginning. We put gray on this building and it had snowflakes, which we didn't really notice at the beginning. They were just white dots, but now we can see what's happening is the white areas cut out of these blocks are going to create the effect of snowflakes. The classical ukiyo-e ichimoji bokashi. Bokashi in the form of a 1, character number 1. Ichimoji bokashi. This part of purple, this is not a separate block of wood. It's a separate printing impression, but if we go back for a minute here, this is the sky block. This purple will be printed using the same piece of wood that was used to print this sky. A few reasons for this. Well, it's just common sense. There's no reason to carve a different block. But even if you did carve a different block, all the snow would have to be carved in exactly the same place. So of course, we just use the same block and the snow magically appears in the same place. We're going to do the same thing in our microwave print. The print we're making right now of the Great Wave. We're going to cut the sky block and we're going to print it twice with the grey and then the black over top. Or at least that's the way we would want to print it. How many more we got left? Let's see what's left. Red highlights, and this too, here's another one. If we go back 10 or so pages here, excuse me a minute while I find the right page. You can see there's two cartouches here, the title cartouche, the series cartouche and the title cartouche. That was left blank, and this had Yamabuki red-yellow mixed into it. And now the red is going to go over both of those. So we can see this stays as the pure red, and this red is now tinged into more of a vermilion orangey color. There's not a whole lot of overlays on this print, but there's enough to make it give you an idea of how it works. And we're not finished yet. I think this might be the last one. Yes, this is the last one. A gradation down the middle of the river, and this is not so easy to do, and these guys have been a bit careless here. It should be perfectly smooth out both ways in the main print of the real edition, but here on this small one they've been a bit careless. But anyway, there it is. There's the print. Now people ask us all the time, Dave, please make some of these. Please make some of these process print books for like our Heroes prints. They'd love to buy it. But I can't. They're just so stunningly expensive to make. Think about it. How many printing impressions are going to be to make this set? Okay, there it is. Key block. You got to print it once. Are somebody counting? Keep track of this. 1 printing impression to do that. 1 to do this. 2 to make this sheet because it's been printed with the key block and the color block. So far to get this far, we've used 3 sheets of paper and 4 printing impressions. Plus 1, plus 3, plus 1. Plus 4, plus 1, plus 5, 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, 8, 1, 9, 1, 10, 1, 11, and 1, 12. Did you keep track? How many printing impressions is that? I don't know. I didn't keep track. It is a ton of printing impressions and a ton of paper. To make these books now, with our current cost of labor here in this country, is completely and totally impossible. It was only possible back in an era where it was not a pre-industrial society, but it was a pre-modern society. Japan was still to a large extent a third world country. And even back then in the 1950s and 60s, the yen-dollar rate was so distorted, you could pay $5 for a book like this and it would pay for all the craftsman's time to make it. And that's no longer possible. Yeah, 11 factorial to show 89 or 90 impressions, and it just doesn't work like that. We can't make it happen. If we were printing in China or something, but those guys can't do this. Anyway, I've got 2 of these. I'm going to keep 1 for myself. I think they're about the same quality, I think. Let's have a look at the other one just quickly. A bit darker on the gradation. Basically the same. No big difference. A bit more yellow. It would have been printed during a different production run, I think. So this will be in the shop, I guess, after we get it sorted out. Then, what else we scooped in the same batch? We scooped this. Witty-san sent this over. Yeah, it would be like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. We just can't do this, you know. Okay, now here's the next one. This is the Tokaido series. Those of you who know Tokaido Goju Sansugi, it's a set of 55 prints that were made. The originals were big. They're the same size as the, for example, the Great Wave print. We know the real Great Wave print. That's the original size of this series. These guys have made a mini version. And this too, this would have been done probably in the 1960s or so. And that last one, the last book we saw, it's funny, you know, it had English title on it, but all the text inside was Japanese. So I'm not really sure who it was intended for. Tourists or locals, not really sure. Okay, this one, here we go. Open this up. This is another accordion book. You can see how it's going to work here. And this is a collection. Which way does it open? Opens this way. This clearly was intended for foreign guests. It's English translation, main English, and a little tiny bit of Japanese. And what we have here is a set of 55 actual real woodblock prints in postcard size. It's the post road that went from Tokyo down to Kyoto, Edo down to Kyoto. And here's what they've done. They've built the accordion paper and they've tipped them in. They're glued in. And these are actual real woodblock prints. And they've done this in a different way than I'm doing with my microwave. For the microwave, I didn't just scale it down, I simplified it. I redrew it because we don't want tiny thin lines. In the case of this series, they have simply just photographically scaled the original print all the way down. And that means it's pretty delicate. Let's zoom in here. If I can get to this without losing focus, let's have a look. Can we get in there? Hey, my camera's working well. That's about the point we're going to lose focus, I think. Now we think what they may have done for something like this is because the carving on the key blocks was so delicate, we think, it's hard to tell from this, it might be a metal key block. You know, you've seen me talk about some of those in some of the videos before. They may have taken a key block impression from one of their normal reproduction versions, because this company, Unsodo, this is the Unsodo company, they also produce larger versions. So my guess is they took a key block impression from the large one, photographically shrunk it down, and had metal key blocks made for this to avoid carving insanely tiny work all over the place, and also to allow the thing to be printed a bajillion times. They then did the color transfers in the normal way for a full set of color blocks on wood. You can't make metal color blocks. And then printed it in the normal ukiyo-e way. And there's 55 of these things in this whole set. Now we ourselves, we sell our postcard size prints that are maybe 7, 8, 9 colors. We sell them for about 3,000 yen. Sometimes more complicated ones, 4,000 yen. So $30, $40 for a print that's not quite as complex as this. And there are 55 of them in this little package. And again, it's the same thing I mentioned before. This was only possible back when the craftsmen here got dirt cheap pay. They weren't slaves. They were happy. They got paid. They went home, had their food, brought up their kids, had a little house. But it was only possible when Japan was in a much more less advanced state of economy. Now everybody is a normal. It's a first world country all the way around, and salary levels here are as good as high as anywhere else in the world. And these things take so much time. There's just no way anymore that such a thing can be produced. Look at the detail in there. Can I zoom in on this one again? Can we zoom in? It's without losing focus, I'm not sure. Look at the size. I mean, that's my finger. That's a finger. Look at this. The lettering and the people and everything else. And it's done really quite nicely. Put some light on it. Shall we try? I don't know. This thing just usually blows up. I don't know. Let's try. That might be better then. The camera's going to play games. When we get in this close, we can start to see a tiny bit of misregistration here and there. And again, I think the key block is metal. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Zoom a bit out. A second. Is that okay? Page after page after page after page. This series itself is one of the most famous woodblock print series ever created. You know, the large version, the real version. Originals, well, nobody really knows originals, but prints of this, when prints made in that era, the 1860s and 70s, do come on the market, they command really, really high prices. But this series was reproduced all the way down in Meiji era, in Taisho era. There are still companies. The Adachi company still reproduces this. They carve them and print them. It's nice. You can see the paper texture, you know, under this light. The metal key block. The metal key blocks are tough. They're difficult to print smooth because they don't, you know, the ink just sits on top of them. So in some cases, not this one, but in some cases when they're printing the metal key block, they use oil-based ink, but that hasn't been used here. I have not so much experience with them. We don't use them ourselves, so I really don't have a lot of experience. For these guys, the advantage was twofold. You didn't have to carve all the tiny detail, and of course the key block would just run thousands and thousands and thousands of copies. They've used a bit too much pressure in printing here, you know. I mean, remember, this was a mass production. The guys were just blowing it through. Bang, 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 bang. Somebody's asking, is all the paper embossed too? I'm not sure what you're asking here. The printing, every printing impression for us is an embossing impression. Whenever we print, we push the paper flat, and if there's wide areas of paper left, they end up being slightly embossed because they have their natural thickness. Somebody said, well, the backing paper. What the backing paper is, it's got little, it's flat, but it's got, what do you call it? Fibers. It's a decorative paper. It's not a printing paper that we would use to make printing. Here's a good one too. The more white space there is, the more beautiful they look. You know? Anyway, I gotta get back to work. Can't sit here with the 55 different prints. Famous one. This is Kambara. Anyway, there we go. We can't go through. That's number 16, and there are 55 prints in the club. What happens? I can show you. It's interesting what happens. I'll zoom out a bit. So you can see the structure here. You can see what we've been doing. It's an accordion fold thing, and we've been paging through. That's number 16. Let me skip ahead here for a minute. Number 19. Let's skip ahead. 24. We get near the end. I said there was 55 prints in the set, and we're up to number 25, and it looks like we're at the end of the book. And what's going to happen is this. There's number 26. There's number 27. And now when we turn the next one, the cover comes up. This is the thing itself. It's in a slip case. But the cover comes up when I turn number 27. That's glued to the cover. And there it is. It's closed. And of course, when we open it again, now from the back side, we have end papers. And we have number 28. So we're now on the back side of what we were looking at before. And let me skip ahead a bunch. 30. Let's skip ahead. 39. Skip ahead. 42. 45. Let's skip ahead. 50. That's a nice one. Let's zoom in again. So you can see, you look at the same book from the front side and from the back side. That's number 50. 51. Hiroshike's design's got a bit boring towards the end. I think he kind of ran out of gas a little bit. The last half a dozen are really not so interesting. Whatever, you can't complain. 55 prints in one set. This one's okay. And then arriving at Kyoto at number 55. That's the end of the series. And this now is glued to the cover, so you close the thing, and there we are. So you go through the actual thing twice to read the whole volume. And again, if I can show you, it's an accordion. The whole thing just lifts up in accordion. So you can lay it out, you can open them up and lay it out, and it's on both sides. And the whole thing's in a slipcase. Made in Japan, like where else could it have been made? And this is the Unsodo company. They're still there. They're not making anything like this anymore, I tell you that, but they're still there. So there we are. So Wade-san phoned me up and said, what do you think, Dave? Do you want it? And I gave him the price I was willing to pay for it. He said okay, and he got it. And it's going to go in our shop, I guess. I've already got some of these at home. I've got a bunch of them in my personal collection, so this is an extra one. So it can go in the shop. Is that the things I had to show you? What else? Was there something I was supposed to show you or not? Those 2 books, plus this. Oh no, there is one more. Have we got time? Let's just do this. Who cares? I can carve anytime. One more. This is funny, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with this. You know, we've been getting some of those, if you watched the last YouTube video I did a couple of weeks ago, not the last YouTube, the last David's Choice video I did a few weeks ago, I talked about some of the old Japanese books. Let me see if I can reach one here, just a sec. Oh, come on, you can reach over without knocking it all over. Hi. Just a recap for those who don't know what I'm talking about. We did a video showing a bunch of the old Japanese books, the ones that were string binding and that had the stories with the funny way that the stories flow around the pictures. And as I showed in that video, let's get this out of the way for a moment. As I showed in that video, the books usually came, oops, that's a bad example. Well, these are all individuals. Ow. I don't have one on the bench in front of me. Whatever. I showed in the video, the books usually come in pairs. That it's a volume 1, volume 2 combined. Oh, there is one. There we are. No, it's not the same pair. Anyway, the books do come in pairs. And it would be volume 21, part 1, part 2. Volume 22, part 1, part 2. Stuff like that. So we've got a bunch of them in the shop now in pairs. But what I also received yesterday from our dealer is I got 4 of these. And I had never seen one of these before. And I am going to have difficulty showing it to you, because what this is it's a nicely wood carved piece of paper on the back, and perhaps what you can see is what this is it's a pair of the books in the original wrapper that it was sold in. And I tried yesterday to sort of slide the books out so that I can look at them, and I can't. They're in there too tightly. And it seems like what we have here today are 4 of these pairs in the original wrapping, and they're so tightly slid in there that I can't get them out. And it's quite possible, it looks to me, like these things have been sitting in the original wrapping since 1850. And I'm not sure what on earth I can do with them. I do not want to open this thing. It hasn't been opened since 1850. I don't know if you can see, there's embossing all over this. There's a star pattern of embossing over this thing. And it seems to me now that there's 2 levels of things we do here. We deal in old books and we sell them and out they go, and we sell them and out they go. And I keep a few things from my own collection. And then there's also, we now start to excuse me, we now start to get into what might be considered actually museum level stuff. And I got to be careful what I do here, because there's a modern ethic when you're dealing with old stuffs, in that you don't make repairs that can't be changed later on. You don't screw things up that can't be changed later on. And I do not want to open these packages. They've never been opened, I think, since, like I said, 1850. But what do we do if I don't open them? We can't read the books, we can't see them. What on earth do you do with an object like this? Now what I'll be able to do is we'll be able to look inside. Okay, there it is. We can see the title, we can see the volume number. So we do have other versions of these books. So we can look inside, we can see what the story is, we know what it's about. But this particular object, what do I do with it? It's funny, you can own it and have it, but you can't use it. By using it, you would destroy it. There's kind of a, well, they're glued paper. You could take this out. I could, right now in front of you, I could pull the top and pull the bottom. I'm not going to do it, relax. I could pull the top and bottom and pull this out. But there's no way I'd be able to get it back. And okay, steam it and undo the glue on the back and then put it together and press it and try and do it. But that would be sort of faking it. It's just much more fun for me just to leave it like this, What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep these. I'm not going to sell them. I think I'm going to keep these. I'm going to look inside to see what volume they are. I'm going to start hunting around to find the same books so that I can display together. Here's an unwrapped version, and there's the book, and we can show the actual content side by side. As I said, these books are really not so rare. They come up all the time. But what is rare that I've never even thought about seeing before is to see them in an unopened format. The bugs have been in there on this one, So what's the guy saying? It's just like virginity. You can have it or you can lose it. You can't have both. So for the moment, these are not going into the shop. I'm not selfish. I paid for these. I bought these damn things. So I'm going to hang on to these here. And I think I'll keep them in my own collection. And as I said, I'm going to hunt around to find the same volume so that we can display them side by side. And it'll just remain as an artifact, I think. Pokemon packages, yeah. Is that worm damaged by chance? I'm not sure how to answer that. Worms eat books. If you don't care, if it's in a drawer and never opened and with no access to air, worms will eat it up, absolutely. Any old things like this, as long as they're aired out frequently, kept in an environment where there's not too much dampness, they will survive for a very, very, very long time. They don't really smell. It's just got a bit of old paper smell. There's no mustiness. These have been preserved very well. There's no stale mustiness. There's just simply a smell of a little bit of paper smell, old paper smell. Love it. I love being able to touch it and hold it and feel it and just whatever. So yeah, so don't get excited. These are not going to be for sale. These are not going to go. They're going to go into our own collection. Someone was asking, would I give it to a museum? We are a museum. We have our own collection of these things, our own wonderful collection. What's going to happen to it as I get a bit older, I'm not sure. Hopefully Mokuhankan, our organization, can grow to a more stable structure. We have our own museum here. Anyway, there they are. I thought that would be fun just to show. This isn't a sales tease. We're not going to sell these at all, Those previous things I showed, yeah, they're going to go in the shop for sale because they're replaceable. But it's not funny that there's a modern container that fits perfectly. Japanese paper sizes are set. This is a paper size called, what is it? This is a 5 paper size. It's not coincidence at all. Standardization of paper sizes has been here in Japan for hundreds of years. We've talked about this many times, in some of the videos. The large, when I get the large sheets of paper, they cut in 3 for Mitsugariban, they cut in 4 for Chuban, It's not coincidence. Anyway, there we are. Thanks for watching. Keep them for another 165 years, yeah. I think I'll do that. So. This one I haven't had a chance to open up yet. This is cool. Whatever, I shouldn't talk too much. This is a set of 10 volumes. It's it's a Japanese version of the most famous Chinese erotic tale ever told. Whatever, we'll have to save this for another day. we're having fun here. You know, what's also fun, you know, is before I had the shop, before I had Mokuhankan, I had a small print collection. I've been collecting prints for a while. But I was doing it on my own. I needed leftover money from my own activities after paying the rent and feeding the kids and all that kind of stuff. I was able to spend a bit of money on woodblock prints. Here now it's a bit of a different story because we're buying stuff to sell as part of our daily work. So the collection now actually is really having a chance to really grow quite well. I can't spend too much because the business here has to be profitable. We've got to pay our rent and our staff and everything else. But we are, quote unquote, profitable to a small degree. And I have room to buy stuff like this over and above what we need to sell for the shop, you know. Woodblock porn, yes, it's woodblock porn in a sense. That's right. So if I were to sell them, what would the price be? I don't know. I'm not even thinking. Those 4 wrapped packages I'm showing you, they're not for sale, and I have no idea what a price would be. I have no way to calculate that, you know. I know what I paid for them, but I think I got them quite cheaply because the guy who was selling them didn't see them in the same way that I saw them. He just looked on them, the person who was selling those, he's a dealer. He just looked on them as thinking, yeah, whatever, here's another bunch of old Edo books. Let's just price them. The fact that they were an unwrapped, untouched, uncut pair, he just doesn't see that. So in that sense, they don't have that much value. And probably similar ones are going to come up again. We're going to keep our eyes open for it. So. Okay, back to work for the last session in the last few minutes here of this session. Can I zoom in? I've got a bit more work to do on this block. I said it was going to be hammering work today. I'm obviously not going to get to that point today. We're still doing some cutting on the edge here. You still in focus? No, I said persuader, but actually I've spent so much time talking to you guys that I am not at the persuader time yet. So. Break is over. Back to work. Do I know anything about Hakumaki? I have one of his prints that I bought back in the late 1970s. Other than that, I don't know much about him. It's some modern stuff, which is not in our field. There should be lots of information out there. He sold a ton of prints, an absolute ton of prints, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He made prints with concrete blocks. He would prepare some concrete, put shape into it, and texture it while it was still wet, and then rub the paper over it from the back. There's lots and lots of different ideas he had. Not our style, but good fun. Like I said, I've got one in my collection myself because it was so cool. I thought it was such a cool object. But my God, there's a ton of them out there because he was a factory, or he or his workers, I don't know which, was a real factory. Was it 9:12? As far as the doorbell goes today, Cameron won't be here. It's the weekend, and I think it's me and Kawaii-san. So he's usually here around 9:20. Isn't that about the right time? So maybe he'll be here in about 10 minutes from now. And we have a 10 o'clock party, and I didn't get the room ready last night, so I will have to get involved with that work. Not Kawaii-san. You've got too many syllables there. It's Kawaii-san. 3 syllables. Kawaii. And it's no relation at all to the word that many forwarders know about Japan. Things are kawaii or cute. It's just coincidental that this sounds similar. And the syllable count is different. We have fun with it in the print parties when we introduce them in the print parties. I introduce them as kawaii, and they misunderstand always. So it helps breaks the ice in the print party when we're just starting out. So. I can tease some more about the deliveries that are coming today. You know, we're getting some prints delivered. I told you that before. No problem. There's a bunch of other stuff we bought, but there's a special delivery coming today. 80 kilograms. I was warned in advance by the delivery company yesterday because they wanted to make sure there was going to be people here to handle it. We're getting today 4 bundles totaling 80 kilograms. Each bundle is going to be 20 kilograms in weight. And they know we're up on the 2nd floor, so as I said, the shipping company checked in advance with me to make sure that we would be okay to handle this today. They want to really avoid the situation of bringing their truck to the delivery, finding that the people can't handle what it is or that we're closed or something, then they have to go back to their depot. So they phoned me in advance yesterday. Can we handle the delivery today? 4 bundles, 20 kilograms each, total of 80 kilograms. What will it be? We'll show some pictures tomorrow. Rylock. And this is Patreon money at work, which I'd better tell the Patreon people about too fairly soon. Patreon people at the present time, I think the deal was they've been helping support staff. You know, the original Patreon campaign that we started a year ago was to help hire somebody for me to get out from under the paperwork, and that has worked so well, so well, so well. But that was Cameron, of course, but he's now pretty much, we can't tell how it works, but he's being paid from general revenue. He's earning his keep now far and away with no problem. So we are repurposing the Patreon money. We've moved ahead into a field that we wouldn't have been able to afford by ourselves. And it's a bit of an experiment, and it's a bit of a risk. We've taken on a project that we wouldn't have been able to afford without the extra flow of money through Patreon. And I haven't yet explained that to the Patreon people, so got to do a video about that. Such a tease. Well, somebody's already got it here. I don't mean to tease you. No, Mr. Rylock 99 here has got it. The DHL person, whatever, here's your package, of course. They ran up the stairs, package, sign, gone. He wasn't here for more than 10 seconds, literally, 10 seconds. Delivery guys here do not fool around. They confirm where you're at. Here's the paper, please sign or stamp, and they're gone. No time for chatting with the DHL guy. He doesn't care about video capture cards. His job was to get that package into our hands and run away. They did their job. You know, people on the stream here the last few days have been really bad-mouthing DHL, and I cannot, whatever, our experience. My experience with them was 100% satisfactory. As I mentioned before, the Amazon website had promised delivery by the 1st. The email from DHL said we'll bring it on the 4th. We phoned them to question this, and they brought it on the 1st. So I have no complaint whatsoever. But it seems that DHL is one of those companies that you guys love to hate. I don't know why, I'm sorry. Our experience, no problem. Yeah, the delivery today is, of course, I know, as Rylock mentioned, it's mulberry fiber. We have taken quite a gamble here, really quite a gamble. We've made a contract with one of the farms who is preparing mulberry to buy quite a lot of it from them every year. And because I myself have no experience making paper, I can't really judge mulberry. They sent me some, and there I was holding it and looking at it and feeling it and saying, yeah, wow, yeah, okay. And of course I know nothing about how to judge it in its raw form. So we involved our paper maker, the new paper maker who's working with us on an experimental basis. And he's the one who has no access to mulberry, or very little access to mulberry. So we involved him right from the beginning. We sent samples to him. In fact, we had him talk directly to the mulberry farm. So what we've done is we've gone by his say-so. After various backs and forths and checking different types and looking at this and looking at that, the paper maker, our new paper maker, gave me the go-ahead. He said, Dave, this stuff looks good. This is what I can use to make your paper next year. So based on his approval of it, I went ahead and signed the contract for this. So we have committed to the people down on the farm, literally, to keep them in business for a few more years. And it's quite an investment. We're talking about basically a whole family. And we alone are going to keep them in business. And still, none of the paper has come through yet. So it's all very tentative, very experimental, very exploration, very risky. But we're doing it. We have no other choice. Our other paper supplier is at some point going to disappear. Whatever. There'll be much more information on this, videos, etc., when we get farther ahead with it. It's just still too experimental. I hear steps, footsteps. We're going to hear a bell any second. There goes. This must be Kawai-san. And another day here at Mokuhankan is going to get underway soon. There's probably going to be some more bell back and forth. He's going to go up and down the stairs, putting the sign out and stuff like that. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about, but anyway, whatever. Display case. Is the display case sold with the Loot series a regular print size? If you buy other non-Mokuhankan prints, will they be fit in the box? I have no idea. If you get some prints from somewhere else, I have no idea what it'll fit in. The box for the Loot, it fits our Portraits series prints. It's not designed to fit anything else. Our Chibi box is a different size. Our Yokai prints are a different size. The Loot box fits the Loot prints, and the Portrait series prints. Here's Kawai-san. We'll have him say hello, and then I've got to get out of here, and he and I are going to get the shop up and running here. Kawai-san, ちょっと注意点ありますが、線ですね。これから片付きますが、今ストリームがスムーズになるためにちゃんと直接つながってます。朝のストリーム。だからもう終わってから片付きます。Come in and say hello.
Hello, good morning. おはようございます。
Not so deep, eh? You don't need it. These are your friends.
安定しますか、やっぱステージですか。
もうwhat we did、そう今新しいカメラ、このカメラを交換しました。それからボックス、ビデオキャプチャーも交換しました。今本当にスムーズに問題ない。丈夫なケーブル、前はケーブルのつながりも悪かった。とマイクもここにマイクありますから、もう本当に丈夫みたいです。パーフェクト言いたくないんですが、結構フォーカスも。The previous camera was chasing focus all the time. This one seems to hold focus really steady. I think we're okay. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I am out of here, gang. What's today? Today's Saturday, so there'll be another stream tomorrow morning. And it will either be more work on this block, or it could be I've got to do some paper sizing. It's possible that there will be a paper sizing stream going on tomorrow. I don't know it yet as we sit right here, which it will be. And again, apologies. The last few days has been chaos technologically on our stream, technically, and I think now we may have a good stable system for streaming here. I've seen nothing but green at this end. I think we have a good setup. Just to rub it in one more time, our speed today has been quite good. We'll see if we can keep that up. Okay guys, thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same station. Thanks again for watching, and I'll try and reread the chat at lunchtime or dinner time to see if I've missed a bunch of questions and things. So long. See you next time. So much bragging. You brag about what you can brag about. There's some things I can't brag about anymore, and there's some things I can. Okay guys, bye-bye. See you tomorrow.